Hello, everyone. So for today, we're going to take a look at the variation within the data set homework. This is the second homework for this week. Um, so I don't have the calculator on the computer to show the steps. I know that in the notes video, he did walk you through how to enter the data in your calculator, but I will try to talk through the steps, especially in this first one, and then hopefully you can use that to go through. If you do have more questions about having trouble with it, you can actually just YouTube it and you'll find like I just type in TI-84 population summary. There was a video just popped up, sort of walks you through it. So if you take a look at this first one here, number one, we want to find the interquartile range and the population standard deviation. So to find those out, um, you hit the stat button on the calculator, and you're gonna then hit enter or edit. After you hit edit, you should see your L1. Now, if I have L2, L3 on there, but we're just going to use L1. And if it's not cleared out, you can either go through and delete each one individually, or if you just push up, so you're highlighting the L1 and hit clear, that should clear them all out. And then you just push down, and then you can start entering all your numbers in. So 4, 6, 8, 10, 15, 19, 22, 25. Enter those all in there. Then you will hit the stat button again. Go over to the right to calc. Then you're going to want to go under one bar stats, and that'll show you all the 5 number summary stuff, um, and all that in the population standard deviations. So to find the interquartile range, you're going to want to subtract Q3 minus Q1. That'll give you your interquartile range. And your population standard deviation is this one. Looks like that on your calculator. So you go through that, do that to find the for A and B. You'll use that same information for number two. The important thing to remember for dot plots is when they have these, you have to put, so that's 1, 15. For here, you would have 2, 12s. So you have to remember to enter in each dot in your calculator. If it's helpful as you go through, maybe you cross them out to make sure you enter them in. We need to get to number 3, interquartile range. Again, that's Q1 and Q3. You subtract Q3 and Q1. That'll give you one of those answers over there. Number 4 is just a vocab kind of type question. Which of these words measures the average distance that a data value lies away from the mean? Which is actually there. That's what your standard deviation is. So standard deviation is measuring how far the data is apart, how spread out the data is. So that goes into number 5, and it's asking which one would have the largest standard deviation, and that's going to be the set of data that is the most spread out. So using that, you should be able to answer number 5. Now we get into number 6, which gives us 2 different surveys of the number of video enabled devices in a house. Survey A is just a random one, and survey B has a teenager, at least one teenager in the house. So just by first glance, you can see that survey B, the house that has a teenager, there's more devices or higher number of devices in there. And the thing to remember is each one did 30 houses, so there should be 30 dots total. And that's important to know because as you work through and you're working on these types of problems, when you do your 5 number summary, there is a they'll say like n, and that's your number of samples. So that's a good way to check to make sure you did enter in all of them. So for these, your n's should be 30. So for the first part, you just have to enter in the data, just like we talked about above, and then you want to find the mean. Remember, that's that one, like looks like that. Interquartile range, which is your Q3 minus Q1, and then the standard deviation. It wants you to use samples, so that's that one. So you're going to find those both out for survey A and B. And remember, dot plots, you have to remember to enter 2 zeros for this one. You have to enter 5 1s, 3 2s, 5 3s, just to make sure you get those up. And if, when you get to the summary um, screen, you should have 30 for your number of totals. So which ones have the greatest variation in data? So as we talked about before, standard deviation is how spread out your data is. So that's the greatest variation. So the best way to see that one is whichever one has the highest standard deviation will have the greatest variation. And then for this last one here, so we're looking how many fall within one standard deviation of the mean. So to do this, we're going to add the standard deviation and subtract from the mean. So you're going to have your mean. So for one of them, you're going to add it, your standard deviation, and you'll get a number. And then for the other one, you're going to subtract your standard deviation and get a number. So you should have two numbers. And you want to see how many of those dots are in between those two numbers. So that's how you find, um, the fall within one standard deviation. And this is a very popular thing. This is definitely something that we even use a lot in school. Is this how far within one standard deviation of the mean? If you ever heard people talk about bell curves, those a lot of times have to do with standard deviation. One standard, like this would be your mean, and they sort of look at how many are within one standard deviation above and below. So this is a very popular thing that is used in many professions. You'll see as you get older. So if you have any questions, as always, please let us know. We will be going over this homework on Thursday during the Google Meets, so that's a good place to pop in and ask questions and sort of go over. If you have it done, you can check your answers. Have a great day and good luck.